had actually signed a contract but had a break clause which allows him to leave for Bath. And we'll also be talking about the civil war within the women's rugby setup at the moment. Fiona Hayes and Keith Wood coming your way after 8 o'clock. 7:30 we're going to be talking to Patrick Harding, who you may recognise from Drive to Survive. He made a fleeting appearance in that. He is the performance coach with Alex Albon, has been very much involved around Red Bull over the last couple of years, and now Alex Albon going back into Formula 1 next season with Williams, so he's at a front row seat to the resurgence and the revitalisation around Formula 1. So we're going to check in with him at 7:30. And lots of football on this evening. COVID impacting the games once again. Watford Burnley is off, but there's plenty of Irish interest this evening. Aaron Connolly back in the Brighton side, and Evan Ferguson, 17 years of age, is in the Brighton squad as well. 3 Premier League games to keep an eye on throughout the football show. We're also going to be reflecting on the career of Sergio Aguero, who announced his retirement today, and also looking at what the heck is going on at Leeds United after 7-0 thumping last night. 53106 is the text number. At Off the Ball if you want to get in touch on Twitter. Richie McCormick with us as always. Evening, Richie.
Nathan, how are you?
And making his debut on the Newsround, Arthur O'D is with us.
Yeah, that's what the bottom of the barrel looks like.
Whew! Wowzers. Is this going to be Michael Owen against Wimbledon debut, or is this going to be Jonathan Woodgate at Real Madrid type debut?
Oof, I don't remember the first.
What?
No.
Michael Owen?
No.
Kenny Cunningham is statuesque, and Michael Owen just breezes past him, and about 5 minutes into his debut scores, and everyone goes, wow, wonder kid. Goes on, has a great career, European Footballer of the Year.
I'm familiar with his work. I'm familiar with his work.
You know Jonathan Woodgate's one.
I remember that, yeah. God, that was terrible.
Jonathan Woodgate had missed the entire first season through injury. Hadn't played at all. Eventually comes on, scores an own goal after 10 minutes, and then gets sent off in the hour mark.
Yeah. It was a fantastic time. That was a very exciting time all in. That peak of that Leeds team he's in. And then that little bit after where it all starts falling apart in a clown car fashion. Like, it's just, but the fact that kind of spread of people where they're all ending up, you think like Ferdinand goes one direction, Woodgate goes one direction, Danny Mills goes his direction. It's a very interesting club all in. Speaking of tonight again,
I think there's a book about that actually out now, about the O'Leary era. It's either on the way out or it has come out in time for the Christmas. But like, it's like as Arthur says, like that Leeds era, as short as it was, is utterly fascinating. More so for just how quickly it crumbled. Like there's like a million lessons to be learned from how Peter Ridsdale ran that club for that particular period of time. But just like why David O'Leary's managerial career, which seemed to be just skyrocketing at pace, again along with the fortunes of the club, just completely fell down. Mostly, partially anyway, down to his own doing in that book that he released. But yeah, just a remarkable case study, I think is
It's as close as we've come to a sort of English football version of the Galacticos, where they managed to buy all these. They were like the childlike version of the Galacticos, where they managed to identify all these brilliant young 21, 22, 23-year-olds, bought them all, and just set them loose on the world. Like, they got to a Champions League semi-final.
Yeah, it was
probably deserved to go to the final
with Irish players right there in the middle of it.
Yeah,
Every so often we used to do games with Steve Mcfadden. You kind of forget, like, this guy was right there. Maybe the most technically gifted midfielder in English football. Up there with Paul Scholes at the time. That's how good this guy was. And we just didn't fully appreciate it. For some reason, I just didn't fully appreciate it.
No, and you had the likes, obviously, of Ian Hart. Gary Kelly still in the thick of it, although between him and Mills. I mean, that whole team. And then you even forget the little time after that when... So Robbie Keane comes in shortly after. You have Robbie Fowler there. Like, I remember kind of his flame burned, little Brighton burned out again, but Michael Bridges.
Oh,
Bridges was a fantastic player. Yeah.
Alan Smith at his peak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boyer.
There's a cohort, there's an age group of people who kind of, when Michael Bridges' name comes up, kind of go a bit dewy-eyed and think about what a player he was and what a player he could have been if injuries hadn't taken their toll, because he was, the word I guess he'd use for Bridges was classy. He was the type of player that English football at the time didn't really have a great reputation for producing. Like a Teddy Sheringham would probably be a similar kind of a player, but his touch on the ball, his ability to go past players and to ping the ball over the heads of goalkeepers was unparalleled.
It was his height, wasn't it, that made Michael Bridge classy? Like, he was a big man, but he wasn't quite tall enough to have the good touch for a big man. He was just that right size, but he was great in the air.
Rangy.
Yeah. We should do a proper deep dive, maybe with some of those Irish players, into that Leeds era. We'll mention it to Adam Pope. He's coming up later on to talk about this current Leeds side. But so you're not going for the Jonathan Woodgate angle. You're more.
No, I hope not. I mean, I presume Jonathan Woodgate didn't go for the Jonathan Woodgate. I mean, it can happen. Like, well, so far, so good.
So it's award season. We were looking outside, which, what do we talk about? And you find yourself looking at Sports Personality of the Year awards, and I'm sure we could do a quick quiz, Richie, and you'll be able to name most of them off. There's many shocking things when you start looking into these. Give me a Gaelic footballer who has won the RTE Sports Person of the Year.
Oh, Lord.
I'll stop you right there, Richie, because not one has ever won it.
I was
Not
going
a
to suggest
single Gaelic footballer has ever won the RTE Sports Person of the Year.
Canavan would have been up there. Yeah, I would never presume the Dub would have won it because,
public vote.
They don't like the Dubs, of course, out in Montrose. But yeah, I don't like. Yeah, it's difficult to make a case for at one stage or another, Colm Cooper or Peter Canavan not being one of the best sports people of their particular year, given their performances. Because
05 and 06,
right
Sean Ogue and Henry Shefflin won it. But then you see you're into Harrington, back-to-back majors, 07 and 08. Hard to go against that. Bod wins it in 09 with the Grand Slam. G Mac and Rory, more Grand Slams. Then you're into Katie in 2012. Tony McCoy, McElroy. There's a strange period where you go Michael Conlon, Conor McGregor, James McLean. And then you're into Sexton, Lowry, Katie Taylor. So, I don't know. Are we missing should Andy Moore not have got that?
See, the people you can immediately discount there are the golfists, because all they've done is perform well over 4 days. They've not put in the hard graft of a solid year's work on their CV. They've had a good week.
I think you'll find Padraig Harrington won the Irish Open in 2007 as well. So he won the Irish Open and the Open. And then in 08 he won the Open and the USPGA. So he managed to get 8 days out of it.
Yeah.
Well done, Padraig.
He won the Irish Open. The Irish Open isn't a top tier tournament, nor was it then anymore. It's just a tournament. I think Gaelic football probably got a raw deal in the mid 2000s. Like that Armagh team as well, the early 90s as well. There's surely a couple of contenders probably deserve to come out of that too.
The BBC one is always a weird one because, football is sort of the Gaelic football in that footballers rarely, if ever, win it. And they never win it for footballing ability. It's always for a sort of lifetime achievement type thing, with Ryan Giggs getting it or some other reason. Athletics has won it 18 times. Football has won it 5 times.
Proper order.
Yeah, and you're talking about special things. 66 seems to be the first with Bobby Moore, which is fine.
Well, acceptable. Won a World Cup.
You got to grant that. And you kind of... Gee, it's just gone through and through and through. But it doesn't seem to come to the fore again until Gascoigne in 90.
They did start in strange fashion. 1954, the first BBC Sports Personality of the Year. 1954, Roger Bannister. Apparently he did something pretty special. Second. Who will ever forget Christopher Chataway, one-time Conservative politician?
He was also one of
win it.
Bannister's pace setters,
who won gold at the Vancouver Commonwealth Games over 3 miles.
See, Nathan, they love the Commonwealth Games back then. You see, they love the Commonwealth Games back then. They love an equestrian winner as well in Sports Personality of the Year. Didn't
Zara
Princess
Phillips.
Anne. Zara Phillips, yeah,
and Zara Phillips have both won it.
That's
so Richie, who are you going for
tradition.
this year for the Irish? So 8 nominees, as has been well advertised. 6 female athletes. So we have Keane Lynch, Ellen Keane, Jason Smith, Katie Taylor, Kelly Harrington, Leona Maguire, Rachel Blackmore, or Vicky Wall.
Where's Paul O'Donovan on this list?
I just don't understand this. Why couldn't you have 9 people on the list?
Why? Like the lack of Paul O'Donovan is just like a head scratcher.
I've always assumed if you got an Olympic gold medal, you were going to get on the short list.
Yeah. You're a lock. Yeah, that's a slap in the face, and I think Skibbereen should secede from the country as a result, because they've enough cause to go out on their own and forge their own successes without us. Because that's just that's egregious. That should not happen. Like a gold medalist at an Olympic Games when we've got about 5 of them ever, not being included on a granted it's a meaningless list anyway.
Well,
but not being included on the sports personality list.
Spent 11 minutes talking about it, Richie. It's not that meaningless. Yeah, what you're saying is we're not going to turn up at the awards ceremony and protest yet again, Richie. Yet again.
Well, I'm just saying we don't run the thing, Nathan, so we don't necessarily have to give that too much care about.
Exactly. Arthur, you're in the hot take seat. Like, that's part of your job, is you come in and you've got outlandish.
Come in here.
Yeah, when you're sitting in that seat. So you've got to come out. You're the only one who's going to make the prediction. So who are you picking there and why?
That right there, that's your Jonathan Woodgate territory. That's stepping right into it.
Who
would I pick?
Yeah.
I'd probably pick Rachel Blackmore.
So what have you got against Keane Lynch, Ellen Keane?
I've got nothing against.
Why? You don't think their achievements were great?
The greatest? No. I think in the last year, I think in terms of just, if you're going strictly in terms of what someone's achieved and the depth of talent you're up against. Again, I don't know all the idiosyncrasies of horse racing, I'll grant you that. But it seems like something that was quite remarkable. Like, the fact as well, she's up for the UK or the BBC international one, isn't she?
She is.
A pretty high up chance of winning that. I don't think it would seem crazy to win that and not win your own.
Okay.
Surely.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Poor old Kelly Harrington not getting a look in. They are strange. The sports personality year has gone downhill dramatically over the last few years. Maybe it's because we've too many channels, Richie. Maybe it's
the BBC one.
Maybe it's that old nostalgia of the Sunday before Christmas, sitting down. You get to watch absolutely everything. It's a little bit like A Question of Sport. Have you watched A Question of Sport lately?
No, I don't think I've watched A Question of Sport since Ian Botham left. No, I tell a lie. I probably haven't watched it since the Parrott McCoist tandem days. That was good stuff.
Those were the glory
I wasn't a
days.
regular viewer. I wasn't a regular viewer at that stage, but I did enjoy it. Question of Sport was the first thing that my dad used to get me up out of bed for back in the day.
Oh, it was on the morning, the repeat.
No, when Beaumont and Botham were the team captains, I used to be in bed as a nipper early. My ma would be out and Dad would go, "Come on, it's on," and come downstairs, and I'd be answering questions about Ed Moses and Steve Backley and all these kind of people. But yeah, it's not good. Sport. I don't want to. I'm just going to sound old when I say this, but if you look back, and there are a few, YouTube is a goldmine for this stuff. If you look back on when Sports Personality of the Year was the Sports Review of the Year, and it literally went through what had happened via various video packages and then little bits of personality pieces, it didn't become this extension of the one show, which is what it's become now. With Gary Lineker and Sue Barker making really awful quips. It's just
like the one show. Some people don't watch this show because they like the one show so much. I've been turning it on the other night and Ronan Keating was presenting.
He's always, him and Alex Scott are presenting the one show like constantly. What's happened in the world that's occurred? Like it's bizarre.
Well, Paddy McGuinness is presenting Question of Sport.
Really?
Paddy McGuinness. Yeah. I started watching it last year again because it's perfect Friday night entertainment for the kids. And then, they changed it all and they've gone down the light entertainment route.
That man never stops.
He does never stop, but I'd say the money is good. So, yeah.
Surely the technology exists that they can, we know holograms. Look at the ABBA tour that's going to take place in one venue over in London. Surely the technology is there for the BBC to have a hologram of David Coleman and then just perpetually have Botham and Bill Beaumont flanking him in pastel V-necks until the day this Earth collides into an asteroid.
So you're thinking the Elvis style tour?
Oh, okay. 100%. Just Bill Beaumont, and just have Coleman there pretty much until this Earth expires, because that's the way certain things should be in place forever. David Coleman should always be presenting Question of Sport. That's just a fact. Let's
get into the news round, which as always is brought to you by Gillette. Put your best face forward with our new and improved razors. 53106 is the text number. If you have any opinions on anything we've discussed on tonight's show, fair to say, Joe Malloy won't be allowed to take Wednesday off again. Richie,
wait until tomorrow happens, Dave. We begin with the exhuming of David Coleman. No, joking. Tonight's meeting of Burnley and Watford is the latest Premier League game to fall victim to COVID-19. Watford say they have insufficient first-team players available to fulfil that fixture at Turf Moor due to an outbreak among the Hornet squad. 3 games do survive. Pick of the bunch sees 4th place West Ham go to 6th place Arsenal. Armstrong Okaflex, the underage Republic of Ireland international, is on the bench for the Hammers in that one. The door opening for a bunch of young Ireland players tonight due to COVID and due to injuries and the increased workload around the festive period. Crystal Palace looking to follow up last weekend's win over Everton. They have Southampton visiting Selhurst Park. Will Smallbone starts for Southampton tonight, so great opportunity for him. Aaron Connolly, as you mentioned at the top of the show, getting his first league start of the season for Brighton. They're without a win in their last 10 games ahead of tonight's visit of Wolves. And Evan Ferguson, the 17-year-old former Bohemians player, a Republic of Ireland under-21 international, is on the bench for Brighton tonight. Staying with matters COVID, Jurgen Klopp says player vaccination is a matter of solidarity. The Liverpool manager says all of those at his club eligible for a booster have either got one already or will do once cleared to do so. Klopp was asked today if vaccination status would inform their transfer activity in January.
I don't know. Whatever, who knows where we will be, whether in which situation the world will be when we start signing players again, all these kind of things. But it's not important in the moment. It's important in the moment. It's important, and I think that's just the whole thing. The whole vaccination thing is for me a massive. It's a question of solidarity, loyalty, and togetherness, and we have all the chance to help not only ourselves but other people as well by getting vaccinated. And I think there are no two possible answers. There's only one answer, so you do it, and that's how I understand it. And but that's how I said. We have. It's not only the squad. Everybody who's working here at the AXA training ground is at least double vaccinated and will get a booster as soon as possible for him or her.
Yeah, wise words as ever from Jurgen Klopp. So Liverpool not affected at the moment, but that game off tonight, so second game of the week, and you just expect that this is going to be a constant issue over the next few weeks for the Premier League. But from an Irish point of view, Richie, it is providing some opportunities. Evan Ferguson was 14 when he made his Bulls debut. They got a lot of stick for it at the time. 3 years on, he's on the bench in the Premier League.
It's incredible stuff. The pelters that were given to him because he wasn't apparently of age, but he was built like an adult at the time, and he's only increased in mass and strength and has been performing for the under-23s for Brighton so far this season. He won their goal of the month competition there recently too. Has performed well, like so well that he's pretty much skipped a couple of age grades for Ireland and is already playing under-21 football at the age of 17. Touch wood, like. We hate to get carried away with players at that age because who knows what the next 3-4 years. Like Michael Bridges, I guess is your case in point.
Well, I was going to say he doesn't even need to look too far. He just needs to look out on the pitch tonight and the man who's starting up front in Aaron Connolly as to you can be up on top very quickly and it can get away from you. So hopefully this is the start of Aaron Connolly getting back in and a bit of form for Brighton, and hopefully Evan Ferguson gets a chance as well. Is there a few quid in it for Bowes if he gets a chance?
I would presume, given the nature of these contracts the last while, I mean, Matt Doherty's deal when he went over to the Wolves kind of speaks for itself, and that's when the club is in a very different place in terms of its business outlook. And now things are a little bit more savvy, and I would hope from a Bowes perspective that they have got a couple of clauses in that contract regarding Evan Ferguson's future and how it might relate to Bowes' finances. But yeah, like regardless, for a 17-year-old Irish player to be on the bench in a Premier League game in the middle of the season is a great endorsement. Armstrong Okaflex as well, I think we have to have a mention of too, because although he doesn't have the League of Ireland connection, he's played at Celtic already. He's down playing for West Ham now. He's performed brilliantly for their under-23 so far too. Had a hat-trick on the opening day of the season against Arsenal for them, and could be yet again another striking option for I guess for Jim Crawford firstly, but then again for Stephen Kenny in a couple of years' time.
Yeah, and just another one who has come through that St. Kevin Boys conveyor belt to get very close to the very top, so hopefully he gets a chance as well. I used to record Question Sport on VHS for my dad. Watch it first, get the answers, then watch the recorded version. My dad was astounded at my sporting knowledge, says Dave in Wexford.
Oh man. Genius. Do you know what? I think I have the board game somewhere. I don't know if it's in this house or... God, yeah, it's around somewhere, but there was a Question Sport board game that I got for Christmas when I was about 10, and I think I have it here somewhere. I must bring it in. See if we can have a game, see if the questions hold up. There's a YouTube special for you, Nathan, over the festive period.
Cannot wait. I need to cough. All right there. Cough badly. Richie, take over.
Oh, God. Jack Chambers says both he and Minister for Sport Catherine Martin hope to meet with representatives of the Ireland women's rugby team next week. The Minister of State for Sport told an Oireachtas committee today that Sport Ireland will also be meeting with the players prior to Christmas. 62 current and former players wrote to the ministers this week claiming the IRFU has shown untrustworthy leadership. And Minister Chambers says he's disappointed with how the union responded on Monday.
I was disappointed with some of the remarks made in the statement from the IRFU. I think it could have been more conciliatory in its approach, and I'll certainly reflect that when I meet them. I think we need to be solution focused. We need to have a constructive pathway that deals with the issues raised by the players, and that's what I'm focused on doing now. So I'll engage with all parties. We've obviously involved Sport Ireland, who will play an important role here in terms of providing a solution, and have a lot of expertise around resolving difficulties between and within sporting organisations.
Apologies if I'm just coughing on air. This I'm putting you in the Jonathan Woodgate scenario where you're in for 2 minutes. I'm like, now you got to present the entire show and collapse on air.
Well, I'm just trying to figure out who would have been left as his defensive partner. Is it still Ramos at that stage? Is he there in 2000?
I'm sure he is. Gavin has been in touch. He saw Michael Bridges play for Sydney in the 07-08 season in the same side as Juninho.
Wow.
Bridges now managing in the Australian lower leagues, which really feels about right. Doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, it is a shame. I grew up. That's funny. When my best mate growing up, avid Leeds United fan. So there's so much in my mind, that team, and it's there, everything about it. And it was that before having Sky Sports, going down to watch the United Leeds games there. It was hostile environment
in Sligo.
Oh, in Sligo, yeah.
Really? And were you on the United side?
I was.
But I'd imagine you had plenty of allies, whereas the Leeds fan was entering dangerous territory.
No, it was like an away trip.
Oh, really?
It was just going in solo.
Wow.
But tough stuff. But yeah, but there were such great games. They were so fiery. And do you remember there was that documentary made, I think after the treble was won, where it was Beyond the Promised Land, and like your man, the guy who went to Peter Kenyon in it, and all these kind of things. Really is the thing. It's almost visualising the club as it goes to what it becomes in terms of the merchandising behemoth.
Yeah.
But there was a great thing in that where they're just there's something of sitting around with Gary Neville particularly. Then just back in 2000, talking about Leeds. Just talking about Leeds, and there's great clips of the Leeds fans coming in and just that chip on the shoulder already at United, and it's just there's an edge to it that's fantastic. It really seemed to capture it. Certainly it's how it felt.
Keith Wood and Fiona Hayes are coming up after 8 o'clock, so we're going to talk about the government reaction to that letter from the Irish women's rugby team. We're also going to talk about Johan van Graan, and this has got stranger and more bizarre, Richie, over the last sort of 24 hours as more details have emerged of what's actually happened.
Yeah, Bath today confirmed, first of all, that Van Graan will join them as head coach in the summer. The South African, as we found out yesterday, is leaving Munster at the end of this season and says it was emotional informing the players of his decision. But it was reported last night that Van Graan exercised a break clause, having signed a 2-year extension at Munster. He'd claimed in a statement yesterday to have cut off contract talks. And the Irish Independent's Cian Tracy told OTB AM this morning that that's not a great reflection of Van Graan.
I think Van Graan is really well liked by the squad, and that was one thing that people had said about him before he came in. He was best man. He was best man at a couple of Springbok weddings and things like that. I think his man management, and even I think back to how he managed the Joey Carberry situation, he was coming back from injury, is second to none. But you look at his record, and if we're being honest and we take the emotion out of it, it doesn't look great that a guy who hasn't been able to deliver silverware has essentially turned his back and changed his mind in Munster. In hindsight, Munster maybe would have preferred to have got out in front and said, look, your contract's up at the end of the season. Thanks very much for everything you've done. We're going to move in a different direction. But that's a little bit damning, I think, because Munster wanted to continue on this trajectory, which goes back to one of my initial points. I think this could be a blessing in disguise.
I agree with you. Johan van Graan, it's been grand, right? It's been fine. When you talk about the good base to build on, he had a good base to build on. Razzie had actually steadied the ship a lot and had made it a more attractive job. Razzie was one of the big names in world rugby, and we all knew he was going to go to South Africa if they came calling, because that's where his heart was, and like that was the right thing for him to do. With this, it was like a completely unproven, brand new coach cutting their teeth.
You know, Off the Ball celebrates its 20th anniversary in a few months, and I think that may be Ger Gilroy's finest moment. Johan van Grand.
He's got a future as a sub-editor, that lad.
Perfection. So you can watch back Keane Tracy on the OTB Sports app, and we're going to be talking about it with Keith Wood and Fiona Hayes after 8 o'clock. Arthur, I think, was more Michael Owen. You can go watch Michael Owen. It certainly wasn't Jonathan Woodgate.
No, I checked that out. It's Pavon was his defensive partner.
All right, well, you could blame it on him. I'm the Pavon of this scenario. I've brought you down with me. And Richie, thank you as always.
Nice one.